Hey, everybody, welcome to another live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha coming to you live from my studios here in the heart of Los Angeles. And I got my man joining me down from Orlando, surviving all the crazy stuff that's going on down there in the South. How are you, Aaron Turner?
Seems like some crazy stuff's going on in California too. Y'all crazy over there.
I know, we crazy.
Yeah, my name's Aaron Turner, and I will once again double down that the Schmodown is not a sport. But I will give you, as to not piss anybody off, I will,
including me,
I will concede that I will consider it an e-sport, but it is not a sports sport.
Listen here, pal.
You bunch of marks.
I don't know how you figure it's not a sport. The outcomes are unknown. People do work out to prepare for the Schmodown physically. People do meditation, box breathing. People study techniques and all kinds of information to be available on game day. People pay money to watch these matches pay-per-view. So I'm confused in how you think. What is it missing that it doesn't have? There is a physical element to it. Certainly, I've been tackled.
One time?
I mean, look, it's more than you've ever seen in a golf course or in a bowling alley.
I don't know. Golf. Tiger Woods' wife went pretty nuts on him. So
that's true.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't mean to offend. I'm really just kind of trolling again. But
I know you are.
I really would consider it more of an e-sport because, like,
e-sport.
I'm such a weirdo and stuff like this because, like, you know, my friends are like, soccer's not a sport. I'm like, you're stupid. And
that's
then,
stupid. Yeah.
Like, video games, like playing video games is not a sport to me at all, any way, shape, or form. Like, does it take talent? Of course. Does it take preparation? Of course. Mm-hmm. It's a competition more than it is a sport. And not all competitions are sports, and not all sports are competitions, blah, blah, blah. So to me, it just doesn't quite fit my own brain criteria, but that's whatever. If you want to call it a sport and be a mark for your own sport, then be a mark.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, I know that Winston brought up, because this all stems from Game Time. It was a great episode of Game Time. If you guys can check it out, I really liked it. I try to tune into Game Time as much as I can because I really like that show. But
it's as irreverent as it comes here.
Well, I'm just saying, like Winston kind of got it. I think he took like offense to what I said. He's like, well, chess isn't a sport. I don't think anybody said chess was a sport. The spelling bee, just because it's on ESPN, doesn't make it a sport.
True.
But yeah, so sorry, guys.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion. It's a free country. Feel free to feel the way you feel about it. Others would feel differently, for sure. So okay, I'm not gonna bash you on it. So let it be at that. But I do want to say that for those of us who are in this situation, we do feel like it's a sport. We feel like we're playing a sport, and we approach it like a sport. And so that's our approach to it and our feeling about it. So, but I absolutely respect the fact that you don't think it is, even though I know it is, and the feeling I have around it.
Here we go. This is going to be never ending. But if anybody would like to school me on what the Schmodown is, I would, or anything like that, I would say,
know what the Schmodown is.
I would say, bring it on, friend. That's what I would say.
Friendo.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. This is such a weird situation. Have you noticed that on YouTube, when you start the streams now, they like ask you all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, and now they do the ads like halfway in between instead of at the beginning. And it's like, you know how YouTube started doing like double ads, which is really just some bullshit.
Right.
Now they do it in the middle of the video. So like and you used to, like, as a YouTube creator, you can kind of set where your ads are in video. Now, like, I don't feel like they let you do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like sitting there watching a video. I'm like, all right, cool. And then it's like, your ad will start in 5 seconds. Like, hold on, I've already bypassed the ads. What the hell are you talking about?
Right. I'm trying to get to our stream here so I can monitor how many people are watching us and everything like that. But every time I hit the normal icon to get into the YouTube video, it asks me if I go into the live control room. It asks me if I want to use set up live stream, schedule a live stream for a later time. Well, and I don't want to do any of that. I just want to get into my thing. So it's just weird. So whatever. I mean, I and it says to pick the stream you want to begin. And I'm like, I don't want to begin any stream, to be honest with you. I'm already on a stream. So it's very, very strange. And maybe I'll have to figure out. Maybe is it a what do you call it? A Mozilla situation, or is it more of a?
I have no idea. Now, see, I have this thing about me where people think I'm some kind of computer whiz or I'm some kind of tech genius just because I'm 34.
You seem smart to me, dude.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not. When it comes to computer stuff, I collect action figures. Okay, I got this week. I got this nice Cody Rhodes AEW figure. Hard to find, but I got him. So there you go. That's what I do with my life.
Oh, I like it. All right, I got in. Jesus, I got in. All right, we got 24 of y'all watching us live. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Outlaw Nation show Outlaw Nation channel, and specifically joining us here on Strong Style Live. Sorry, we're having a little bit of a start, kind of a rev in the engine startup situation here, but we are open for your Streamlabs. We are open for your super chats. I'm bringing everything up. I apologize. I've been going from one show to the next all day today, starting with SCN Live into the interview for the Geek Buddies. We interviewed 5 members of the production team and cast of the Spectacular Spider-Man from 2009. Oh, wow. Yeah, we had 2010. We had Josh Keaton and Vanessa Marshall and Greg Weissman, Victor Cook, and one of the lead animators, Cheeks. He joined us, and we had a really great time just talking about the show and reliving the first 2 seasons of the show a little bit. And that episode's going to drop next week. And coming right out of that, I had 5 minutes or 10 minutes and had to jump into a Cinephiles, and now I'm here on Strong Style, and I'm excited to be doing this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody who signed up to the Outlaw Nation channel over the last day. Sung Shin, Lauren Romo, Berg 55, Dark Fate 66, Nathan, Joel Tombo 87, Katie Evans, Micah Dams, and Jared Mays. And I certainly want to thank everybody who is joining us live right now. Let me get everybody in here. Haskell 420, always good to see you, my man. Annabelle Roman Gramash, Aaron Entertainment. Is that you? No, different person.
No, it is not.
All right, Chris Taylor, Manny Gonzalez. Let's see who else we've got rolling with us today. All Elite Wrestling, hell yes. AJ Daniels and Zeno Hour. A lot of the old crew, a lot of the crew that comes and join us, the weekly crew that comes and join us every week. So thank you so much. Monitoring your chat, monitoring everything going on here with the channel, everything going on with the Streamlabs and Super Chats as well. So we got a jam-packed show. We're going to get into so many news items that have been going on over the last week. Stuff going on with AEW, stuff going on with WWE and SummerSlam, stuff going on. And, of course, do a little tribute to Kamala, the late, great Kamala, who passed away earlier this week. And our main match that we are revisiting, our match of the week that we're revisiting is CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, the best versus the beast from SummerSlam 2014. 13. I'll tell you right now, Aaron Turner, thank you so much for putting this match in the rundown. I had a fucking awesome time rewatching this match. So we're going to have a lot to talk about as we get into things. All right, where do we start at, Aaron? Where would you like to start, my man?
Let's just start with this news that kind of broke yesterday about WWE SummerSlam being held at Orlando's Amway Center, which is where the Orlando Magic play. Not currently; they're in the NBA bubble, but they're in the playoffs.
Right.
The Amway Center is, it's just been vacant, like a lot of venues, of course.
Yeah.
And the WWE Performance Center has been the home for WWE since really the week of WrestleMania is really when that all kind of came down. So they wanted a little bit more production value, and it looks like the Amway Center is where it's going to be, SummerSlam, and probably a lot of programming going forward. Mm-hmm. John Alba initially had the report on this. He's a local guy here in Orlando, does the news for My Spectrum News 13, so shout out to John. He's a good guy, too. Yeah. And he reported also today that they saw the production trucks going to the Amway, pulling into the Amway Center. So it looks like that is more than official, that the WWE production will be going on from the Amway Center. I've got 6 dogs here also, so just let it happen. But yeah, so it's going to be the Amway Center going forward. No word on if they're going to let fans in at the moment.
Okay.
But that's where we're sitting at right now. I'm going to kick this dog out of here and shut the door. So go ahead and talk about it.
All right. Well, this is an interesting situation when you've got going on here, because they've been saying over and over again that they're going to keep going forward. They're going to keep making this happen. They're going to keep putting it out. So, I'm not surprised that Vince and the WWE found another way to make this all happen. He is not going to stop doing programming for a number of reasons. This idea that, in his small way, he is contributing to this idea that we all need to get back to work. We all need to, the people are making too big of a deal out of COVID. He's going to push that narrative constantly subtly by having shows every week. He's not going to stop. This is his cash cow, so he's got to make money off of this thing and off the XFL and how cheap he sold the XFL. He's got money to recoup here in this situation. The stock of WWE, that's gone kind of up and down over the last few months. So he's got a lot of financial situations he's got to handle here. So I'm not surprised that he is making this happen there at the Amway Center. The question is, how many of these wrestlers are going to put themselves essentially in a bubble, right? Isn't this what this would essentially be, Aaron, is a bubble?
No, I don't think it's not much different from what they're doing now. I mean, the way they do it right now is people come, they travel in, and then they get tested, and then they do, they wrestle or they don't wrestle, depending on how they did. But it looks like, from what I can read here in the further updates, it looks like all shows are going to be from the Amway Center now. So
that's what I'm saying. So would they all just be in a bubble there at the Amway Center like they are for the NBA situation?
I wouldn't think so. No, because I mean, you're going to have people traveling from all over the world still to get there, which I don't understand. I don't understand that why, if you work for the WWE, why you don't live in Orlando. I don't understand that, or at least in the area. But I mean, of course, people want to get away from their work site. I get that 100%. There's also been word of virtual fans. Somebody mentioned that in the chat, so I definitely want to bring that up. Yeah, the NBA does that, and it's worked out pretty well. I thought that, I've been watching a lot of NBA because, God, I miss sports, but I think that's working out pretty good. I don't know how you feel about that. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I have to say, I was one of these people that was hesitant about it. If you watch old episodes of Game Time from the last few weeks ago, I was like, this is not going to work. NBA, they're going to break curfew. They're going to go. And certainly there were a few people when it first started that were complaining about the food, or one of the Houston guys went off and went bass fishing off the outside the bubble and claimed to not know what was going on when he got caught. Lou Williams, certainly the biggest culprit, going out using his grandfather's funeral as a reason to get some wings and party with a rap guy over at that Magic City club. So there were certainly some issues initially, but you can't fault the NBA with how they've handled this thing. Zero positives for coronavirus, and they're testing constantly these players, the staff, and what have you. So the way they've administered the bubble has certainly been one of the smartest things that you've seen any sports league do. College football is over 50% of the conferences have canceled their games for the fall. The NFL is kind of on the bubble, not in the bubble in my mind. And the second it starts becoming a bunch of people getting it, that's when things are really going to hit the fan. But they're doing their best. They're testing people 3 times a day in the NFL. Every time you go from building to building, they test your temperature. So, I mean, in that way, they're trying their best to, at least in the training camp situation, keep it under control. MLB has been the worst, and certainly you've seen the reasons for that. So they're even exploring a bubble for their playoffs once their playoffs starts. The NHL kept the bubble in Canada, where the infections are less, so they went smarter with that route as well. So if the WWE institutes a form of a bubble here, I think it would be smart. I mean, where are these wrestlers supposed to go anyway? You might as well stick around there and stay safe and keep earning money because you're a freelancer, and keep getting the opportunities to be on TV every week if you can.
Makes a good point there. And to your point about the NHL, and someone mentioned it in the chat, so I want to be sure to mention it here. I think the NHL has been the most entertaining. Like, that whole bubble situation has really worked out for the NHL. Yeah. The no fans thing is still a little weird, and it's really weird with baseball with the cardboard cutouts. I think that's super bizarre, but I get it. I had to laugh at the Philadelphia Phillies the other day because behind home plate, they had a cardboard cutout of Ben Franklin. And I just thought that was amazing.
I'll do you one better. Did you see the one in LA? They had Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's as a
that
cutout.
Was tremendous. So if you can keep doing that to kind of keep, but it's distracting. So you look at home plate, there's Ben Franklin, there's Bernie. I mean, it's just there's Barack Obama. Like, it's very distracting to see these things, but it's kind of fun. So if they can do like the virtual fan thing that the NBA has been doing, because they also in the article it says they're going to start taking applications. For you to show up on the video screen, which would be really fun. And we should also talk about AEW as well from this past week. There were more fans present at Daly's Place where they taped the AEW shows. They had initially let some people in, like friends, family, just a very small amount of people. About 200, I think is what they said, or maybe 150 in that area. But they're all spread out. Every other row, they're in the very back. You barely see them on camera. The only reason you saw them this week was because of Frankie Kazarian, and you see him in the wide shots on occasion. But it's not like generally open to the fans that are there. Somebody reported that in the article that I was reading that it felt like more of a test opening. To reopen to crowds. I don't know how true that is. With the I know we're gonna talk politics here for just a second. For the Republican National Convention to move out of Jacksonville, it doesn't really bode well for big events being hosted in Jacksonville. So I don't know how true it is that this is kind of, somebody feels like this is a soft reopening. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to see that for a while. At least the end of the year, I don't think we'll see any fans at a wrestling event. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they said 150. I think this is, and like I said, I think AEW has been more stringent about their rules and about their mask situation than the WWE was. And so 100%. seeing that kind of the natural progression of that makes sense, because the WWE is going to bring in 150 people right now at this point, because they're not sure that they're going to bring in 150 people who don't have the COVID. The fact that the AEW has been more stringent while WWE has been more lax until recently, that tells you the difference. You know, you've heard about a bunch of WWE people getting positive tests for COVID. You didn't hear much about AEW getting positive tests because they, again, stringent from the beginning, which is why they're at this stage now where they can bring in like 150 people, spread them out. They know, and from what the report says, people around, the security around the arena was being very adamant about the masks. So that's the thing. Just wear the fucking mask. It's not a big deal. You can enjoy the world. Just wear the goddamn mask. That's been the problem since day one. Just wear the goddamn mask, and you'll be able to sit there and have your nachos, have your hot dog, have your pretzel, watch some wrestling, and you'll have the social distancing. And you can yell your full head off through the mask. It's not a big deal. Pull it down occasionally, kind of catch a breath or whatever, or put it under your chin for a few minutes, and then put it back up again. It's not that difficult. People turn it into a goddamn nightmare, and it's not that big of a deal. And so I want to see sports come back. I want to see professional wrestling come back. I want to see movies come back. And the only way that's going to happen is if people adhere to these rules, accept the restrictions, and you're seeing AEW as kind of a test case of what could have been happening with the WWE. And yes, it's great. Virtual fans and blah, blah, blah. That's all great. But they could have been at a position where they would have actual fans in attendance spread out throughout the arena and have people and have that environment feel a little more lived in than what you have now behind plexiglass and people going crazy.
I know my response to this, but I'm real curious to know yours. I would do it. Like if they made like tickets available, or they were like, okay, 150 people show up to the Amway, you can get in. You just have to wear a mask the whole time. Sign this waiver that if you get COVID, it's on our fault. Whatever. Right. I would do it. Would you do it? I
would absolutely do it because I trust the fact that I would adhere to the rules for myself. Okay. I would have that mask on all the time. I'd lift it up to sip or to eat or whatever, but I'd have it on the whole time. I trust that people be social distance. And also, Aaron, you know me, if someone came closer than 6 feet, I'd be loud as fuck to get them away from me. And so for me, I would have no problem doing that. And I'd be excited to go, and I would limit my movements, right? Show up, get my food, sit down. There I'm placed. And if I have to go to the bathroom, I'll go to the bathroom. But other than that, I'm not going anywhere else. And I'm staying there until the event is over. And once the event is over, I'm monitoring how people are leaving and then taking my time to leave the arena at a socially distant, safe manner. You know, I mean, we're in grocery stores walking next to people now, but we're also wearing our masks and being aware that if someone starts to cough, you move quickly away from that person.
Yes.
Or someone sneezes, you move quickly away from that person. So that's the advantage you would have in an arena that's spaced out, is that you don't have to rush to leave. You can just be chill, let everybody else leave, see your spot, slowly move your way with being socially distant all the way out of the arena and to your car, and then you're safe. So for me, I would absolutely try it if I could, if the opportunity was there.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like I would trust myself enough in the precautions to do that. And it's so crazy. I see I'm kind of like half looking at the chat. Like I'm Groot has a comment in there.
Yes.
It says he works with a mask 8 hours a day and still gets mad when people walk in below their chin. Dude, I couldn't imagine. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine doing that, because I know that when I go to the store, I go to Walmart with these places, especially in Florida, I'm sure it's that way in California too, John.
Yeah.
Where they have the sign on the door that's like, hey, local ordinance, national, whatever, you have to have a mask, face covering to enter the store, and people just don't give a shit. And it's so crazy to me that you just can't wear a mask. Like, what's the deal? Like, I don't care what you have. My friend posted this the other day. Her dad has like COPD, is on oxygen stuff, and he wears a damn mask. Now, if he could wear a mask without a problem, then you should be able to without issue. I just don't get this, and we politicized it. We made this big thing,
right?
And it's like you said, it's a nightmare,
right?
Like, how stupid do we sound that we can't wear a mask for 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go into the store and go back out, and then you can just take it off?
Yeah,
like, it blows my mind. Like, I can talk about this all day, but
I have my mask always available, and I have the new one here, the Outlaw Nation mask, right there.
Oh, very cool.
So, I always have it. I even turned it into that. I turned it into a mask, ordered it on Vistaprint, $18, and it came. It was perfect. I have 4 of them.
Always branding.
Yeah, always branding. Always, your build. But like that kind of situation there is like, I have 6 masks now that I can wear at any moment for any number of things. One for hiking, one for just shopping around, and one when I'm going out to a location where maybe there'll be more people there who have it, but so that, or who might have it rather. So that's how I kind of approach my world. And it's not a big deal. Just wear the mask. And so, yeah, you're right. The people politicizing it. It's the reason we can't have college football this season. The reason we can't have all this stuff is because we didn't step on it. We didn't jump on it from the beginning. You're looking at all these other countries that are way ahead of us. It's got nothing to do with the fact that we're a more populous country. It's got zero to do with that. It's all about the fact that we didn't jump on this from the beginning because certain people saw it as a political thing, and certainly some people saw it affecting their reelection or affecting their election and all of that. And so from there, we're lost now in this situation where we have to kind of make do, and you're having these confrontations between people who do have masks and don't have masks. It's absolutely dumb. And I appreciate that AEW is very stringent about it in the arena, which is all the reports that people are saying. They're pretty hardcore about people wearing masks. And so I like that, because in a professional wrestling arena, you could see people showing up being like, I ain't wearing no mask. You're not getting in. It's just that simple. You're not getting in.
I did want to ask you something, because you're a soccer guy, way more soccer guy than I am. The MLS had fans in the crowd this past week. Was that?
Yes, there were some fans that were in the crowd. It wasn't a lot of fans, but it's an area that doesn't have a high rate of infection. Okay. So they were able to kind of explore and experiment what it would be like to do socially distant things. And I don't know what
was it Kansas City?
I think it was Kansas City. Yeah.
Kansas City, okay.
And I don't know what the exchange is, Aaron, because like obviously if you have more fans in the stadium, or even fans in the stadium rather, you got to hire more security. Right. And you got to hire food vendors, and you got to make sure the food's tested and everything's fine and doesn't have COVID. So there's a lot of effort that goes in. And is the exchange worth it? Are you really making a lot off 150 people or 1,500 people or 2,000 people in the stands for it to be worth it to bring fans in? But the MLS has been kind of MLS has been kind of stubborn about pushing forward. They're one of those leagues that actually needs to make money so they can stay alive as a league. Whereas the NFL could suffer through a season without or Major League Baseball, even NBA or NHL could suffer through a season where they're doing half a season or whatever. MLS needs it to be a full season to survive, and so because it's still just it's a good league, it's a strong league, it's not a super successful league, so it's got to do that. So yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that we're exploring and we're experimenting and we're seeing what we can do in certain cities that don't have high rates of infection, because that could be a test, as it just says, the AEW article, a test for other cities about how to handle this slowly but surely,
Yeah, and I believe NASCAR is having people at their event this weekend. So I cannot believe this is happening. This is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm half excited but half like scared. Like I don't know. I don't know what to think. But yeah, I'm growing facial hair, and like to put the mask on with a beard is kind of annoying. I get it. Like it makes my mouth sweat, but you know what I do? I just get over it, because I'd rather have facial sweat than the COVID. And for those wondering, yes, I did wear a neck gaiter for a long time, and yes, I did read the article that said they are basically ineffective.
Yeah.
So I've tossed the neck gaiter, and I now have my Baby Yoda mask, my Incredible Hulk mask, all my masks. Don't cry for me, Argentina. I've got everything.
There you go.
So
yeah, that's the thing. They've even made the masks available with characters. I mean, Jen Decker, she's on Twitter posting her Lucha Libre masks.
Oh, those are awesome.
Those Lucha Libre, that's even on brand for someone who loves professional wrestling. You can even get a mask that is Lucha Libre like, and that's awesome. So what is your excuse? There is no valid excuse. There just isn't. And
they've become a fashion statement in some ways, which is like people, you'll walk around, people be like, hey, I like your mask. Like Stephanie McMahon posted a picture today. She was at a salon getting her haircut. She was wearing a Fiend mask, Fiend Bray Wyatt mask.
There you go.
So there you go. So even Stephanie McMahon could do it, you can do it too.
Good to see the McMahons wearing a mask finally. All right.
Wow.
Whoa. What's our next story there, my man?
We're going to talk about somebody you really, really enjoy, and that's the Velveteen Dream. Made his return to NXT television this past weekend as a surprise competitor in the triple threat match between Cameron Grimes, and who else was it? Kushida. Sorry about that. The Velveteen Dream showed up for the first time since his match with Adam Cole for the championship, which he lost. He'd been off TV for that entire time amid allegations of wrongdoing, which have kind of gone by the wayside.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
So I don't know what that whole situation is. I haven't heard anything else about that at all, but I'm still kind of like reserving judgment on the Velveteen Dream. Like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to jump back and embrace him because I love him. Yeah. But I'm not ready to quite jump back in. But then again, no harm, no foul, no crime, no punishment. So
yeah, it's weird.
It's a very strange situation.
Yeah. I mean, they posted about it, but it kind of split Twitter in half. A lot of people tweeting, Velveteen Dream should not be on TV. Toxic WWE fans during Sammy Guevara and Sasha incident. Sammy needs to get fired. This is unacceptable. Then those same toxic fans, when Velveteen Dream makes a comeback, they're all excited about it, or they're drinking tea. Then they put a picture of what's his face who got was it the Fireball? What's his face? We signed the contract. Keith Lee with his blinders on, or the blindfold on. They're saying, that's the WWE with Velveteen Dream. Then other people are celebrating Velveteen Dream coming back. So it's certainly splitting the fandom here across the board. And you wonder, have they solved this supposedly personal situation? Have they solved these accusations, these issues? I don't know, because the last time we saw him, right, was that match at TakeOver, and we haven't seen him since. So was this addressed? We're kind of seeing this with Ezra Miller as well, Aaron. I don't know if you saw this, but with Ezra Miller, what he did with that woman or with that young girl a few
I saw that video. Yeah, that was weird.
They announced that he will be at the DC Fandom event next week, but the panel's only going to be 10 minutes long. So certainly that's their way of trying to avoid the situation or avoid any questions about it. And that's kind of drives me insane, because I'm like, is this the new policy of these companies and these corporations, that they just kind of like wait it out and then eventually bring a person back and then they don't say anything about it and they move on? Are they getting advice that if they don't speak about it, eventually people will move on? Is that true? I don't know.
It's kind of like even in, I'm going to talk politics again, like even in politics, like when they tried to impeach Donald Trump, like I totally forgot about that until somebody brought that up the other day on the news. I was like, oh yeah, they did try to impeach him. Like just stuff just comes and goes, and it feels like we have that short-minded society now. Like, short attention span. Like if it happened, we will dogpile on that for a few days, and then after that, it's like, who gives a shit? Like, It's very sad, and I hope that everything that was against the Velveteen Dream is not true. Right. I mean, that would be number one, and if it is true, it's horrible, and my God, my heart goes out to the victims. But I mean, I like I said, I can't embrace him again, so I don't know how long it's going to take me. I can tell you that if they're going to move forward with him, it seems like WWE does this for people that they like as well. Like when Enzo Amore had all of his issues that ended up, he was acquitted of or whatever. They just got rid of his ass. Like they could have easily brought him back for doing no wrong, and they just apparently didn't like him and just got rid of him. Got rid of Big Cass. Like just got rid of these people. It seems like if they like you, they'll keep you.
Yeah, well, like any corporation, right? If they like you, If they like you, they'll let you get away with a little bit more than someone they don't like. They'll just look for an excuse to get rid of you. If you give them the excuse, they will do so. So it's the same kind of situation we see all the time. I'm just surprised they haven't released a statement or released anything to explain the situation so that people will be calm about it or understand that due process has run its course and a decision was made or a settlement was made, something to let people know what the update is, or even Velveteen Dream coming out with a comment. Listen, Velveteen's never been quiet about calling other people out, even calling out the WWE a year or so ago. Remember when they said, when he was upset that he wasn't getting moved to the main roster? It's like, well, if you got a mouth to call other people out, you better have a mouth to call yourself out too, son. Like, it goes both ways. You can't just be the righteous one. And if you've got something going on with you and you don't talk about it, you don't say it. To me, the next time you make a stance about anything in your career, it has no weight to me. It has no foundation because you weren't able to call yourself out or explain to the fans what the situation is or update on them. Maybe there's a legal issue with that. I don't know. But he should have cleared some kind of statement so that he could put it out there for people who want to kind of come to terms with why they're seeing him again and give them some kind of update so they can use that in their own minds to become a fan of his again, or to have that conversation with themselves if they want to become a fan of him again. So I think it's a bit irresponsible not to release a statement.
Well said. Well said. Well, let's move on to our next story. This is
before we move on here. Sorry, I want to say one thing, guys. Remember, Streamlabs and Super Chats are how we keep the lights on here in the Outlaw Nation. Haven't seen any of them come through. We're 30 minutes into the show. Would love you all to send some support, some love here over to the Outlaw Nation as we do this show live for you every week, talking about pro wrestling. The shows only stay alive on this channel if there's enough support behind them financially. This is one of those shows, and I know we get good views, almost 1,000 views every show, but we got to get the financial support for the show going as well. So please send in your Streamlabs, send in your Super Chats, and if you're watching this later, make sure you like the video and leave a comment. The more likes and comments you leave, it kind of pushes us up in the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to still leave a Streamlabs for us in support of the show, in support of the Outlaw Nation, right above Aaron's head is the address there for you to do that. All right, I just wanted to say that. Go ahead, my man.
No problems. And I mean, the more Streamlabs, more stuff like that, the more support we get, we could have guests. I mean, who knows? The possibilities are endless here.
Absolutely.
But I did want to talk about this story. You sent this one to me about Brandi Rhodes. Brandi Rhodes has started an organization, a side hustle, if you will, for AEW. It's called AEW Heels, and it's garnered towards the female demographic, female fans to interact with the female superstars of AEW, or whatever they call them, wrestlers, whatever, superstars, whatever. Yeah. And so Brandi took some criticism this week because it's a membership program. It's like you pay $50 and you can interact on these live chats that they have with the talent and other things like that. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's behind a paywall.
Aaron. Yeah. The thing,
weird, right?
This is going to sound strange, but I'm going to put it this way. Like, but also by being inclusive to the women and stuff, you're being exclusive to everybody else. Yeah. So like only women can join, which is very confusing to me because maybe they did this because they were afraid that if they allowed men, there would be some, pervy stuff going on, which is very, very possible.
Okay. All right. I can
not put that away. I totally understand. But at the same time, let's say you have like a young son or whatever, nephew. They're like, I really like Cody Rhodes, but I really like to watch Brandi Rhodes wrestle. She's really cool. She's really athletic. Right. And I mean, what if they're just kind of excluded? Like, oh, I would like to talk to Allie. And then it's like, no, sorry, you're not a girl. You can't talk to them. Right. I'm just saying, like, that's like a small part of it. But Brandi took a lot of fire from that, so much to where she does not have a Twitter account currently. It's been deactivated. And she said this was not the direct cause of that. But let me see if I can find it here. This is from TV Insider. Let's see where we got it here. She's also taken a lot of heat for the Deadly Draw, the tournament they've done that isn't on the main AEW Dynamite show. It's on YouTube. So a lot of stuff has gone on there.
There's a lot of spinning going on, I would say, Aaron, here, because she's saying, "Oh, I didn't leave because of this. It's because of it's because I needed to take a break from doing this thing, so I needed to take a little bit of a break. It's cleared my head. It's been great. It's spinning it like crazy. And then saying the YouTube thing is great because we can have our matches go as long as we want now. They can be long matches. And I don't know. I get what she's doing. And, as great as it was to support AEW jumping out of the gate with Cody, with Brandi, they're sliding into corporate speak, man. They're sliding into the old school PR stuff instead of being open and upfront and honest, which is what they claimed they were going to be from the beginning. Now you see them being unable to take the criticism and roll with it and be okay with it. Now it's adjusting and spinning and deactivating accounts and that kind of stuff. And that never bodes well. That says you're getting shook by what you're experiencing. And so you're trying to control the situation from a PR point of view. And I don't know, man. I think the world needs more authenticity and less prepackaged statements or prepackaged spin, so that people can feel connected to things again. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know.
It's worth noting that Brandi Rhodes and Stephanie McMahon have the same job. They're both the CBOs of their company, chief branding officers of WWE and AEW, respectively. So you don't see Stephanie McMahon reacting like this. You don't see that. And I don't know if that's because it seems like, and this is something completely different, but it seems like Brandi Rhodes, for whatever reason, I've had talks about this with people. I've talked about this to Brandi herself. For whatever reason, like, why the fuck do so many people hate Brandi Rhodes? Like, I can't figure it out. That's
a good question. Yeah.
Is it because she's female in the wrestling business? Is it because she's a person of color in the wrestling business? It's so confusing, but people just absolutely lambast her in ways that they would never, ever say things about Stephanie McMahon. And it blows my mind sometimes. This is just another example of it.
Well, I mean, I think being a woman of color, being that, and I also think the fact that she came in without fanfare, right? She came in and she was someone who couldn't wrestle initially that well, and fought, and kind of learned how to. And she says this in the interview that she's become a better wrestler over the last few years, thanks to her husband, thanks to Dustin Rhodes. But it's that thing: if you come in and you don't look like you want to be part of the business, or you're being handed opportunities when you don't have the talent or the training that other female wrestlers had because you're pretty, then wrestling fans get upset about it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying there's certainly a contingent of fans that do get upset about that, and you kind of have to prove yourself, right? Especially if you're a woman of color. I mean, name me the last woman of color that really exploded onto the scene. It was like a superstar at the level of The Rock or any of the or Stone Cold or whatever. Like, it doesn't happen. It rarely happens. Like, Jacqueline got a great pop when she came out for that Hall of Fame situation at WrestleMania, but they rarely are there. And Naomi is getting constantly the booking about her is what people complain about the most. So over and over again, Nia Jax disappears. The separate issues there, but like that kind of stuff, you don't see someone really step forward. I think with Brandi, they see a beautiful, talented woman who married the guy who's running the federation. So then the nepotism comes into the situation as well. So it's just a lot of things. And unfortunately, Brandi has to ride this stuff out to be a part of this business. She does not have to be a part of this business, Aaron, but she is choosing to push forward and fight to be a part of this business. And unfortunately, she's taking a lot of shit from the fans for it.
It's just really sad, man, because like you want more diversity in terms of male female in wrestling as well, because you want those female voices, and now you're going to take a big shit all over her for doing this. It also speaks to a larger problem with AEW Dynamite, which I have been personally enjoying the past couple weeks. Like, I've gone from watching NXT DVRing or catching Dynamite later to watching Dynamite and catching NXT later. That's not a knock on NXT. That's just how I've been watching lately.
Right.
But the thing is, like, it's very noticeable that you have one female match. A couple weeks ago, they had one female match. It was a minute long. They had one female match this week. It was a squash match. Yeah. And it's like, we have this deadly draw tournament. Okay, yeah, you can put it on YouTube and you'll get 500,000 views. Okay. Yeah. Or you could put it on, TNT and you get 900,000. And you could build storylines off of it, and you could build build wrestlers that people don't see all the time. That could be a good idea as well. And I just don't know why that doesn't work. I don't understand why they haven't invested as much time in the building the female division as they have building, say, I don't know, the tag team division, which they've really spent a lot of time building that AEW tag team division. Yeah. They could do a little bit more with the women. I mean, to be honest with you, both shows, like both WWE and AEW, could probably do a little bit better in the women's department. AEW just seems a little bit better. Impact seems to have it down. As far as women go, I think they're probably the best company for women in the business right now. But it's another thing. Like when you don't see women on TV, you think, okay, who's the chief branding officer? Who's supposed to be running this? Well, it's Brandi Rhodes, but that's not technically true because she's not the booker. She's not the one that books this.
Right.
The female Deadly Draw tournament was just a side project for her. It wasn't something that, was pitched. Like she didn't go run into them and saying, okay, we're going to do this. No, it was just a side project. So I think a lot of the anger is not warranted. They're mad at the wrong people. They should be mad at the VPs and not mad at Brandi.
Right, exactly. But most people don't know. Most people just look at whoever's on the screen, and that's who they're going to go after, right? And that's how they're going to go about that. Murtaranta make a great point here. I've read AEW fans say Brandi's not talented enough in the ring to be featured so much. Basically, if she wasn't Cody's wife, she wouldn't be there. That's fair, but have you seen Stephanie McMahon wrestle? I mean, for God's sakes, that's the thing at the end of the day. Stephanie was a terrible wrestler for a very long time, but because she was the boss's daughter, she got to get away with it. And she's a horrible actress. Horrible. And yet she had a lot of screen time over the years because she's Vince's daughter, but people let her get away with it. People gave her a pass. What is that all about? So it's that kind of thing, right, with Brandi. And it's because she's married. It's an interracial relationship. Maybe they got issues with that too. It's that kind of stuff that really just frustrates you on so many levels, unfortunately. But by the same token, Aaron, I think there is valid criticism to be lobbied here at her because of how they're handling this. And she needs to be more vocal to stop this stuff from happening. She's trying to make the best of it, but 1 minute matches, man, that's just not going to get it done, as you said, for female wrestlers to show them the respect that they deserve.
You're absolutely right. And I'm a big advocate for women's wrestling. So the more the better. There's so many talented females out there. Just get them on the damn show. It's not that hard. Like, get them on the show. Okay, so you put Anna Jay with the Dark Order. Okay, well, that's good. Now, what are we going to do with that? Nothing. We're just going to put her in a tag team with a baby face and just see how it goes. Like, it makes no sense. Like, just go from week to week and then wait. Maybe let's wait till Awesome Kong gets back. We could do something with her. Like, god damn. Like, to me, it's not that hard. They have enough talented people. Impact does it every week, and it's not an issue. They lost their biggest female star in Tessa Blanchard, and it's not a problem. All they did was just roll forward. Okay, we got Taya Valkyrie. We'll throw her in there. Okay, we've got Deonna Purrazzo. We'll throw her in there. Okay, we got Kylie Ray. We'll throw her in there. And it's like they just keep moving, and it's not a problem.
NXT has done a great job of it, I thought, for many years as well, Aaron. Maybe not so much at the top of the roster. Certainly Becky and Charlotte and all were dancing around each other all the time. But certainly NXT was fantastic about it. And even tonight, SmackDown, the big thing for SmackDown tonight is who's going to be Bayley's opponent. So already the female wrestlers are the central point of the show tonight. So that's what AEW needs to achieve at some point. And I'm not sure of the machinations of that company to understand why they're not working harder. And they released, I think, a couple of female wrestlers this week. So it's like, right?
They released Sadie Gibbs and B. Priestley, which B. Priestley had some strange business going on. So it doesn't surprise me that she got released. And then Sadie Gibbs I don't think she was an Olympic wrestler, but she was a very talented wrestler from that just didn't really ever pan out. Like, I don't think she was ever given a full opportunity. She was very green, and I just don't think they had the time to work with her through the COVID and all that kind of stuff to get her on TV. So just something like that. But quickly, I want to mention, because Grimash brought up something in the chat. He brought up Raw Underground. Did you see Raw this week?
I tried to watch Raw this week.
Okay. You'll love this. Okay. I don't know if you saw this, but you'll love this. The Raw Underground stuff. I actually was like, okay, I got to watch Raw Underground, see what's going on. All right. Dude, I'm telling you, this was awesome. So
I hated it last week. So go ahead.
So the big guy, he went by Babatunde, but he's something else now. Daba Kato, sorry. So they had him again, like he was beating the living crap out of some guy. And Shane McMahon's like, it's over. And they're like, who's next? Who wants to fight this guy? And in walks Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Shayna Baszler's about to beat the living hell out of this guy. And they didn't let it happen, but instead, Shayna Baszler beat up 3 women.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Okay.
So look out for Raw Underground. It's impressing the hell out of me. I'm ready for week 3.
All right. If you
Raw Underground.
I'll watch some of it, but I hated last week, so I'll watch some of it this week and see if it's any good. But also, I feel like, dude, why is Shayna Baszler at the level of this Bubba Kato, whatever his name is? She is a fucking champion, Aaron. She was a fucking champion.
Yeah,
she should be out there fighting Bailey, out there fighting Asuka, out there fighting Sasha. She should be up there, right? What Vince is just using her down there, and I think that's a mistake if they keep her down there too long, dude.
I don't know, man. Like, I like the way that they used her this week. They made her look like a real badass. Like, she was not afraid of this giant 6'7" dude at all. Okay. She just put her mouthpiece in and was ready to fight. And a lot of people were like really into that. I could see her getting like Shane McMahon as a manager. Like, I could totally see that happening. I think that would be pretty cool. And then she can move up from there. I don't think it's going to be a problem with her. I would like to see, more females get in there. I'd like to see Sonya Deville get in there.
Yeah.
And maybe tangle with some people. I think that would be fun. But Raw Underground's got me intrigued enough to come back.
Okay, fair enough. Let me get a couple Streamlabs, a couple super chats came through. One Streamlab here, sorry. Jim Standlin said, just wanted to send some support and enjoying the conversation. Hashtag Baba Booey. There, that never gets old, I guess. Baba Booey. Justin Perry says, any chance of either watch along or episode where you do Taker versus Triple H from WrestleMania 28, one of my favorite Mania matches. Thanks and keep up the good work. I'd be down, Aaron. I love doing these watch alongs with you, bud.
For sure. I've got the strong style slate mapped out till October. So we'll see what we can fit it in there. I did a lot of work on that this weekend. I think we should try to do one watch along per month. I think that's what we should do.
I'm down with that.
And I think that would be great. Okay. So I think that may be something we do going forward. So yeah, I could try to pencil it in soon, but yeah, we're booked up until October for now.
Yeah, we're looking towards that Shawn Michaels Hogan.
Yes, sir.
Mary Mother of God. Chris Taylor says, could we ever get a watch along for the classic Ready to Rumble? I don't really want
to. That's a little bit more difficult because that's a full-length film. So right. That's a little bit more difficult. And if I did, we'd have to bring in Ryan Satin, but we can't because Ryan loves that movie so much and we can't. So I would feel, I don't know, stay tuned on that one if we get enough. Maybe we could do it for a holiday show. Maybe like that could be our Christmas episode. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, David Arquette has a new movie coming out. Maybe I can reach out to his publicist and beg him to come on. Maybe we could do a watch along with him.
Oh, dear God.
He's been on a show. He's been on one of my shows here on the channel one time. Thanks.
Tremendous.
So, which was one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life on the channel. But certainly we can get David Arquette on here, hopefully, and it'd be fun to do a watch along with him and promote his movie. All right, I think that's all the Streamlabs and Super Chats so far. We've got 47 of y'all watching us. Thank you so much, but only 38 likes. If you're watching us right now and you haven't hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like. All right, what are we into next, Aaron?
This is my favorite story of the week. This is a goofy one, but we're just going to have fun with it. So Logan Paul, internet streamer, douchebag extraordinaire, put out a tweet on the 10th of this week that said $10,000 in cash to any influencer that can beat me in a wrestling match. And I think he's talking amateur wrestling. I don't think he's talking WWE style wrestling, obviously. But the thing is, it was funny to see the people that responded to it. Number one, I saw Jay Washington respond to it. I was like, I don't think that's the kind of wrestling they're talking about. But number two, also, people were asking earlier before we started this thing, why is Eli Drake on the thumbnail? Well, Eli Drake's on the thumbnail because he's one of the ones that responded. He's a defined influencer because Eli Drake is an accomplished actual wrestler as well. So it was really fun to see. There's just some of the other ones that really cracked me up was the Blue Meanie responded saying he would take him on. Chelsea Green, NXT star, said she would be glad to take him on. Tay Conchi, who's in AEW now, is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, said that she would. And of course, one that I wasn't expecting, that I'm glad that they did respond, was a guy by the name of New Jack.
Oh!
New Jack responded to Logan Paul by simply saying in the best New Jack fashion, I'll kill this motherfucker for 10 grand.
That scares the living shit out of me. I don't know about you. Aaron, that scares the living shit out of me, man.
Listen, dude. Like, I don't think you probably could pay New Jack less to kill Logan Paul, and I'm not advocating that someone does kill Logan Paul. Please don't. I'm not advocating that at all for violence, but if you could put a pay-per-view together somehow, some way, and sanction this dude versus New Jack, you're going to make money. I know that there's YouTube influencers out there that have millions of followers and they make millions of dollars and all this stuff, and I don't really understand that world. But all I'm saying is, if you got New Jack, you would sell a lot of pay-per-views. You would have a lot of wrestling fans that wanted to see what New Jack could do to this guy.
Absolutely. I'd be down to see New Jack. I mean, especially on the heels of that Dark Side of the Ring and those stories that we heard, Aaron, on that show. I mean, Logan Paul's going to shoot his mouth off. Let's do this thing, you know?
Let's really do it. Yeah, let's really do it. And I wanted to pose the question. I'll pose it to the chat. I'm going to pose it to you first. You got to pick one wrestler in pro wrestling right now, alive, preferably, that isn't New Jack, to take on Logan Paul. Who are you picking to beat him?
Shayna Baszler.
It's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Shayna Baszler just squeezes his neck. I went more the conventional approach. I said Brock Lesnar. I just Brock Lesnar, just kill him. Like, it would just be like feeding Brock Lesnar a piece of raw meat or something. But yeah, Shayna's a good pick too. I would also be looking at maybe Shelton Benjamin. Chad Gable, maybe even. To whoop his ass would be great. Any kind of wrestler. I even said Jerry Briscoe. Like, if Jerry Briscoe's still around, there's something about an old shooter, man. Like an old shooter that could still amateur wrestle. This dude will tie you in a knot, brother. And I could see Jerry Briscoe making Logan Paul look like a bitch. So
yes.
And no, Grimash, we're not putting not Goldberg. Stop it. Stop it. Not happening. Because Goldberg would probably lose.
What about Lesnar? Lesnar's the right choice, isn't he?
Brock Lesnar is 100%.
He would never do it because it's a step down for him status-wise, but he would absolutely twist that dude into knots and break him in half. And people would cheer it.
Timothy Thatcher was another one suggested. That's a good one. Timothy Thatcher from NXT. Matt Riddle would have been a good one. Anybody that has a little bit of wrestling / fighting experience would be great. Just put him in there with Ronda. Like, let's put Ronda in there.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna put Shayna, put Ronda in there. Why not?
Why not Mandy Rose? Why not that?
Well, if I'm going to be in a wrestling match, then sure.
I feel like Mandy Rose would be the choice.
I would pay Mandy Rose $10,000 if she wanted to get in the wrestling ring with me. Sure.
All right. Now we're going the line. Now I feel like we're talking to myself.
Sorry about that.
Talking to myself. All right, let's move on to some super chats here. Ryan always pulled me back when I was making comments like that. Chris Taylor. You already asked that, Chris Taylor. Sorry, Chris. I already put that one up. Sorry about that, my man. Let's see. We've got another one. Yeah, AJ Daniels says, "Hey guys, may I suggest Randy Orton versus Mick Foley from Backlash 2004? It's one of my favorite matches, and it made Orton a star. Much love and take care." You know what? I haven't seen that one in such a long time. I might have time tonight to pop that one in while my girlfriend's asleep and watch that. Randy Orton versus Mick Foley from Backlash 2004. Do you have any memories of that match?
Oh, yeah. That's where we got the tax pulled out and Randy Orton was in Evolution. I believe he's wearing red trunks in that match. The red trunks, Randy Orton. Yeah, it's a great one, man. It's a great match. Yeah, I think we could add that to the slate. But once again, it's going to be after October before we got that. I'm telling you, I got some really good stuff coming up. You guys are really going to enjoy the next few months. I'm telling you.
That could be a rewatch. We could do a watch along on that, right?
Sure.
Possibly. So there you go, AJ. Absolutely. Thanks for the $10 donation. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Keep them coming, people, please. And Streamlabs, Super Chat takes 33%. So I'd appreciate it if you went Streamlabs. If you can't do the Streamlabs, then please keep doing the Super Chats. But Streamlabs is what I prefer you all to send your comments because we get more of the money from there. Dalton Jackson says, thoughts on Jim Cornette versus Vince Russo. Was that coming out again this week? What happened now?
Dude, it never stops. What are you talking about? This rivalry has never stopped. I'm always on side Jim Cornette, even though Cornette has made some really weird comments and done some really weird things, and I've actually stopped listening to his Experience podcast, dare I say. I still listen to the drive-through to get that pro wrestling knowledge, but I'm always going to be Team Cornette on this one. I just think Vince Russo's a douchebag, a talentless hack that didn't have anything to do with anything that wasn't a Howard Stern ripoff gimmick. So I stick with corny, always corny.
I think it's a tough choice. If they're both hanging off a cliff, I'd probably walk away. But
I like that.
But to be honest with you, I think I would take Corny because as nutty as that fool is, he loves the business, and his opinions are strong. They're sometimes offensive, most of the time offensive, but he does love the business, and for that I appreciate. Where Russo hates the business. If Russo could rake the business, he would, which is why I don't like him at all. I think Jim Cornette actually has his own feelings. Has really interesting stories to tell, and he's been inside and outside the business. So I would take him over Vince Russo for sure. Let's see here. Chris Taylor says a fan voting for match of the week down the road. That could be fun. I think you'd have to donate a little bit of money to be the person who gets to vote on the match we cover, but certainly that's something we could explore as it goes along.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Get everybody, maybe put maybe 4 of them together, throw them on Twitter and see which one everybody likes the best. Or like you said, a donation thing. Maybe, I think that'd be a great idea.
I'm down with that. Fan vote once a month would be good. Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid. Well, here's the deal. A vote is great, but you'd have to. I think you'd have to donate. You'd have to be at a certain level to be able to vote for the show. Look, guys, it's the Outlaw Nation. We got to stay alive. And staying alive as a channel means I got to get people supporting all the shows we're doing. And one of the way to do that is to, with your donations, with your support. And that could be a possibility. It could be a way to kind of motivate people to support is you get a chance to pick your match for the month or for the week. And that could be fun. That could absolutely be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be something I would really like to do.
All right. What's our next thing, my man?
A little bit of somber news to talk about right now. Very sad news. The passing of James Harris, better known to wrestling fans as Kamala, the Ugandan giant, passed away this past week at age 70. His wife stated that he died of COVID-19. Another one down to COVID-19. Kamala, for me, was by the time that I knew who Kamala was, he got to the WWE, and he was doing the goofy Ugandan giant gimmick. He was being, like doing all the belly smacks and stuff like that, not understanding. Very stereotypical, very racist gimmick. I think that's without question if you look at it right now. But a lot of people think that Vince McMahon started this Kamala gimmick. It's not true. It was actually started by Jerry the King Lawler in the Memphis territory. So it's the brainchild of the King, Jerry Lawler, and they would have matches back and forth where Jerry Lawler would defeat Kamala as a big the big bruiser. But Kamala was also in World Class Championship Wrestling, where he partnered with the Missing Link, which was a white guy, actually. And they would be a tag team together, and it would be Kamala and the Missing Link. But he was taken more seriously in WCCW. More of a serious bruiser. And, that's, like I said, I always remember Kamala as the Ugandan giant, the guy that came with kimchi down to the ring and stuff like that, and taking on The Undertaker and just being really entertaining. And I read something that Bret Hart said. Bret Hart said this week that Kamala not only was a great person, like a great guy to talk to, but he had some really good matches with him, and he really got some good stuff out of him when other people couldn't. Kamala gave a lot to Bret, and he always really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, and also the thing, Hogan even gave an appreciation to him and jumped, like he showed that picture of Kamala jumping over Hulk Hogan during a match, and that shows you the kind of ability this man had for his size. He was certainly someone people loved working with. And I know some people find it offensive, and I totally respect and understand that completely, but he wasn't an actual African person. This was a character. He was a regular dude, from the States or whatever. And so he did his thing, but the character itself is memorable. How many of those 80s characters do you remember who had those weird gimmicks? Fondly, right? Kamala is someone you always remember fondly because he was really committed to it and you enjoyed it, right? I always loved that about him, and how it went forward. And I think Harvey Whippleman ended up being his last manager, if I remember correctly. That is something that I love about Kamala, right? And it's sad to see him pass away from COVID. Very frustrated that happened and upset that happened because, once again, it's not necessary for people to get this thing and pass away. You know, I know he was 77, but still, you know, you don't want to see people you care and respect and admire and think of fondly with nostalgia, pass away from something like this. But certainly left a legacy for those of us who got to watch him, Aaron. For those of us who enjoyed him in the 80s and early 90s, like Kamala, always, the second you hear it, you know, you just like always think of him. You know, obviously now we'll probably think of Biden's VP choice, Kamala Harris. But,
oh my God!
We were thinking of Kamala. We always love Kamala. So.
Yeah, should clarify. Kamala Harris, the current vice president elect with Joe, or not elect, but not yet, but running mate of Joe Biden. She did not die. She's not passed away. No, she's not passed away. No, she's doing well. But yeah, he had a lot of underlying health problems. You know, COVID probably wasn't the main thing that took him down, but you know, it's taken out a lot of people. So sure. I do want to mention that, you know, about the racial stereotype. This is from the New York Times. This article says, in interviews, Harris did acknowledge the racial stereotypes of the character, though he did stop short of apologizing. He said, in a quote, "It might have been a little bit of a disgrace to the blacks," he once told a local TV station, "but, you know, I was just concerned about making a few dollars." So, hey, there you go. There you go.
Look, a lot of people play stereotypes in early wrestling in the 70s and 80s. Now, look at Gorgeous George, right? That is a homosexual stereotype he's playing. Even some of these people, look at Eugene. That's a really uncomfortable one to look at now, the mental health situation. Even some of the more of the country or Southern guys, some of those guys were played for laughs or for jokes and what have you. So, you know, that happens all across the board. Not excusing it. Lord God, not excusing it. Just saying that there has been on both sides, you know, that kind of thing going on between this idea of the stereotype going on in professional wrestling. That's how it was back then. Obviously, the Attitude Era changed all of that, and for the better. And, you know, we still have the occasional crime time, but I think Vince is learning not to do bullshit like that anymore. And so they stay away from it for the most part. Although I hated the three luchador guys coming out with that standard shit. I hated that stuff.
The Mexicools, yeah.
The Mexicools,
The one that always sticks out in my mind is Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah.
Because that was portrayed by an Italian guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't even from the Middle East, which is that's even worse, in my opinion. It's essentially doing blackface, brownface, whatever you want to call it. It's just not even the same. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad.
It's so real bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just want to finish the Logan Paul thing. I know it's a story back. Just say, I hope whoever gets picked, they kick the shit out of that guy.
Yeah,
He's
please.
A clown, and so is his brother. They're both clowns.
Yes.
And Chloe Bennett should have never dated his brother. That's a weird situation that happened in our world. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Chloe Bennett dated that other Paul. Let's see. Chris Taylor says, I mean, fans voting, you two give us options. My bad. No, I don't think that works either.
Jeez,
you know?
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you've got to contribute to vote, no matter whether we're giving you choices or not. I feel like you got to contribute to vote either way, because Aaron works hard to lay out the schedule. So if we're going to adjust the schedule, it's got to be worth it. So I'd be down with it.
Don't put it on me now. Don't put it on me.
Aaron feels the same way.
I'm so angry. Rocha's bringing the hammer.
I'm just saying, put it out there. Thank you, Christine, for the very kind donation. I appreciate it. You're so awesome. Hill Nellums donated Streamlab. Thank you, Hill. It's always good to see you in here, man. Every week. He says Shayna's in a good spot right now until the Asuka angle is done. She still might need to gain some exposure for casual fans to show how dope she is. 2013, not a bad year for the WWE. Wyatt family debut. Mark Henry, quote unquote, retirement. Punk Lesnar was a dope rewatch. And that's from 2014, actually. But yes, absolutely.
No, he's right. 2013.
Oh, is it 13? Right. Oh, my bad. Is it really? Is it 2000? Oh, then I'll change that on the title. My bad, y'all. All right. I think that's all the Streamlabs and Super Chats for now. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen, as we're rounding the corner into our final segment here. And that's our match of the week. Right?
Indeed it is. The match of the week, Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk from SummerSlam 2013. Yeah. Let's talk about the build to this one, the best versus the beast. You talked about it earlier. Yeah. So Paul Heyman and CM Punk have always had this, kind of father-son bit of a relationship. This started back in 2004 when Punk was signed to the WWE from Ring of Honor. Punk would work in OVW, which was run by Heyman at the time, before Heyman eventually handed the reins back over to Jim Cornette. Punk would again work for Heyman in the revamp of ECW and even become its champion before that folded again, and Paul Heyman was gone, but he was eventually brought back. And then during CM Punk's title reign, Heyman was brought back to manage CM Punk in those fights. CM Punk would CM Punk would compete at Money in the Bank 2013 and was nearly the winner until Paul Heyman came in and threw a ladder in his face, causing him to lose.
Yes.
So then Punk would attempt for many weeks to get revenge on Heyman, chasing him around and stuff, until eventually Paul Heyman confronted CM Punk on the ramp on Monday Night Raw and said, "I've got something for you. How about the Beast, Brock Lesnar, would take on CM Punk?" This is the first time ever that these two would clash.
Yeah.
And a clashing of styles as well, because CM Punk is known as, more of, at the time, known more as a high flyer. Brock Lesnar, of course, is a bruising brute. You couldn't get really much more different in the styles here.
Yeah. I was looking. I remember this one when it got lined up, and I was like, "What is this really happening?" He's such a huge guy, and Punk was, like you said, more of the kind of the mid-carder high flyer guy. And at this time, I really didn't put too much credit into Punk. He was still building his kind of resume, in my mind, for me, right? I know other people thoroughly love Punk from the beginning, but for me, it had to grow on me a little bit. This is one of those matches that shocked the living hell out of me and made me become, made me take one step closer, a big giant step closer to becoming a fan of CM Punk. Man, this match are we getting into the match? Can we get into the match?
Yeah, go ahead.
This match was absolutely fantastic. Great back and forth. Right off the bat, this could be a match that could be over in 2 minutes. Brock coming out right off the bat like a bull right at CM with the shots into the corner, constant shots into the stomach as he's sitting there in the corner. Every time Punk, for the first, 5, 7, 8 minutes of the match, they tries to fight back, Lesnar has an answer and just completely demolishes him. And Punk slowly but surely climbs back into this match, pulling out his offense, getting his moves when he can. But every time he's about to get on a roll, either Heyman messes him up or Lesnar messes up. And usually, Aaron, at this time, or at least at this stage in my life, whenever I see a match about a manager messing with, I just go, "Oh, we've seen this a million fucking times before." But in this situation, it works because of what you said earlier, the build-up between them, the history between them, it plays so well, and Punk and Heyman really do a fantastic job in this little mini scenes they have within the match itself.
Yeah, it's like every time that CM Punk gets an advantage, he goes after Paul Heyman, and to him, is it worth going after Paul Heyman, or do I need to finish off Brock Lesnar to beat him? That becomes the problem of the matchup, because you see there's at one point when he grabs Paul Heyman by the tie to punch him, Brock Lesnar comes right up behind him and whacks him in the back with a chair. And my goodness, talk about some knee shots from CM Punk. That's really what got this going. Some brutal knee shots, finally taking Brock down. Got him in the Anaconda Vice at one point, which was really awesome. Then Brock turned it into the Kimura, some good ground-based wrestling there. And then when the chair gets involved, like I mentioned a minute ago, that's when everything gets kind of insane. Yeah. That's when the real punishment starts.
Yep, it does. And when the chair gets into this situation, that's when he is hitting, when Punk has Heyman in that submission hold. My Lord, the chair shots from Lesnar rival the chair shots that The Rock gave Foley. And I don't mean in terms of gashing him. I mean in terms of the sound and the power with which they hit Punk, that you're just like, my God, how is he not spewing blood out of his mouth? How is he not unconscious? And Punk takes an incredible beating in this match. One of the great things about the HD up-resing of these matches now in 2014, or from 2013 rather, and now, is you get to see the scars and the blood on these guys, and they show you the kind of bumps and hits and bruises they're enduring to give you a great match, and certainly in this match, when they have the close-ups, you can see the scarring on Lesnar, the scarring on Punk's back, all of that come forward, and on their legs as well. You see it clearly when you're watching the match, and that shows you how much dedication these guys had into putting on an incredible match. Someone said in the chat, an underrated classic. I have to 1,000% agree.
lot of people think it's the match of 2013, and I would agree with you. Just the way that the crowd reacts to different things they do, they're up and down and up and down. That's how you can tell that's a great match, especially when Punk hits the GTS to go to sleep on Brock Lesnar. And you're thinking, holy shit, CM Punk's about to win this match. And he goes to the pin, and of course, there's Paul Heyman to stop him, which was really the best part, because then he finally got to punch Paul Heyman. He punched him and then put him in the Anaconda Vice, but then again, there's Brock Lesnar with that chair. And Brock Lesnar, people don't understand this Brock Lesnar. He's an all-timer, in my opinion. He might be top 5 ever.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Oh, wow.
Just if he likes you, Brock Lesnar will do anything that you want. I'm just telling you, like the way that he sold for CM Punk, he's amazing in this match. Brock Lesnar deserves everything that CM Punk gets for putting on this match. But anyway, Brock Lesnar with the F5 on CM Punk perfectly places the chair on the mat so that CM Punk takes the brunt of that on the chair, making it even more devastating. Gets the 1, 2, 3, and Brock Lesnar is off to the races, gets the big win here.
I was shocked. Dude, there were so many near falls in this match as you're rewatching it. You like Punk came as close as you can come to beating the Beast. And so he was so close on a couple of occasions that it adds to the drama of the match so well that when it's over, Punk wins for losing. It's one of those rare matches that wrestlers have in their careers where they win for losing. You know, he came so close to beating him, and only because Lesnar got the best of him right at that last second was he able to put. And Punk himself, as much as Lesnar sells, Punk completely sells at the end. He doesn't do a fake kick out, doesn't do a try to get. He's out. He's just a rag doll. And the way Lesnar drags him over is like watching a lion drag a piece of meat across the floor.
So good.
And it's so believable that you completely buy. And the WWE and Punk and the people doing the camera work, the directing, they stay on Punk after the match until he gets up against the ropes, slides out of the ring, and walks back. And that shows you the respect they had for that match and for Punk, because that essentially made Punk even stronger of a fan favorite in the WWE.
No doubt about it. I mean, this is really when Brock Lesnar. I know this is a big thing for CM Punk, but 5 months later he'd be gone.
Yeah,
from the WWE. The Royal Rumble was. Yeah, he was gone, but he only came back this year, of course, as a part of WWE Backstage before its cancellation a few months ago. So that's the last time we saw CM Punk in a WWE ring, which is not this match, but a couple months later. But Brock Lesnar, this was where he was really off to the races. Do you really need to put Brock Lesnar off to the races? This is where he was reestablished as the Beast, because after this, he goes on to WrestleMania, he beats The Undertaker, ends the streak, and then he goes on to SummerSlam 2014 and absolutely mauls and beats the piss out of John Cena to become the WWE Undisputed Champion. And, Brock's been on top ever since, multiple Universal Champion. And CM Punk had his 2 fights in the UFC, which didn't go well. And, of course, he came back, but
that was rough to watch,
dude. Yeah, those were rough to watch, but come for the CM Punk, stay for the Brock Lesnar in this match. It is a 5-star classic, in my opinion. If you've ever seen a 5-star classic, this is one. This is one you should definitely go back and rewatch if you haven't. You should always do your homework, but if you haven't watched this for a while, punch it in, watch it. It kicks ass.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. And we promote other matches in the past on the show. This is one that you have to absolutely go back and watch. In the limited amount of time we had to talk about it, even we couldn't do its full justice. It is a great match that swings back and forth. Both of these gentlemen, there's not a boring moment in this entire match. There's not all right, we're going to slow down and catch our breath moment that feels manufactured. It all works organically, and the swings in the last 5 minutes of the match are incredible, and that steel chair becomes such a potent weapon on both sides. And Paul Heyman, I mean, that scene where Paul Heyman adds great comedic effect to it. That scene where Punk comes up and is standing on the chair, and Heyman is trying to hit his knee pad to get him off the chair is funny.
It's great.
When Punk is holding on to Heyman's tie when he's about to get that F5 from Lesnar, and Lesnar screaming at Heyman to let go.
Let go.
He's like, I'm not holding on to him. He's holding on to my tie. All of those things are those things that when they work well in a match, they're like great theater, and you're lost in the enjoyment of the match itself. And so this one has everything you could possibly want. Great spots, great action, funny moments, and a great story told. And both men walk out of this thing better for better. I don't know, what is it? Their legacies are even more greater. Defined, yeah, by this match. So it's incredible in that way. Yeah.
No doubt about it, man.
All right, well, that's our episode. We went a little bit long, Aaron. I'm sorry, an hour and 15 minutes. But thank you all so much for staying with us. About 31 of you remaining now. Thank you so much for all the likes and the positive words you gave us. Let's see. We have one last Streamlab here from the last Cinema Sailor. He says, "Hey guys, I recently came across a great tag match leading into WrestleMania 18. Rock and Austin versus the NWO. I know this well. It was a great watch, and I highly recommend it. And then it led me to a decent match between Y2J and Hogan. I love the show and keep up the great work." Thank you so much, Last Cinema Sailor. You remember those matches?
No, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do want to say, Last Cinema Sailor, if you want to see something that you're not going to expect is great, there's a match in, I think it's 03. It is Ric Flair on Monday Night Raw versus Brock Lesnar, of all people. Brock Lesnar. And it is like an 8-minute match. It is fantastic. We may have to talk about it on the show one day. Like, Ric Flair is so damn good in that match. It's not fair. Like, it shouldn't be on. It should be a pay-per-view match. It's just that good. But I do remember that run, of course, from The Rock and the NWO and that. But I'll have to go back and look at that. Thank you for suggesting that.
Yeah. Flair. Last we saw Flair was getting punted by Randy Orton, of course.
Okay, sure.
He's in his 60s, man. Leave the man alone. Stop doing things, Flair. Stop it. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks everybody for watching Strong Style. We always appreciate you all coming back and watching us every week and giving us some love with your Streamlabs and your super chats. Please remember to like this episode. Really important for you to hit that thumbs up button and to share this episode as well on your social media. Because if you share it, you're telling your other buddies who are into pro wrestling that you approve of the show and you like the show. And if they like your taste, then they'll take a chance on our show. We'll keep growing the audience for this show every week. And I'm proud of the show. I think Aaron and I do a really good job on this show. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I mean that in a proud way, And please, if you're watching this later, and a lot of you do watch it later, please leave a comment. The more comments you leave below, the higher it goes up in the visibility in the algorithm of YouTube. And it can end up as a suggested video on people when they're watching pro wrestling stuff, when they're going into deep dives on YouTube. And maybe we'll bring more fans over that way as well. So please do that. Do all of those things to help us out. Aaron, where can they find you, my man?
Find me on Twitter at @OnlyAaronTurner. Next week, Triple H versus The Rock, SummerSlam 1998 Intercontinental Championship ladder match. It's an all-time classic. Triple H makes his first appearance on Strong Style. Don't at me. I'm sorry. It wasn't on here sooner. But yeah, we're checking it out next week. It's an awesome match. Do your homework for that one. SummerSlam 1998.
Yeah. I can't encourage you all enough to watch that match so you can chime in with us during our conversation when we revisit these matches every week on the show. Yeah, one last thing. Last Cinema Sailor, absolutely love that Raw match between Austin and The Rock. It was the last time the NWO got the best of anybody. They got that pin, or Hogan got that pin on The Rock, I believe, heading into WrestleMania 18. Of course, that classic match between them. And don't forget, one of the greatest segments ever on Raw was NWO destroying that ambulance with The Rock in there. It was old school WCW NWO for just a shining moment, for just a moment.
That's all they got. Yeah, that's all they got in the WWE.
Sadly, because the boys in the back didn't want to be made fun of by the NWO, and that's a shame. It could have been amazing, it could have been great, but they didn't get the job done. But it's also nice to relive those matches for sure. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And please remember, as always, to subscribe to the channel down below. Aaron and I are slowly going to be doing more stuff on the professional wrestling side of things to put up under the Strong Style banner. So take a look for that as well. All right, that's it. Everybody take care of yourselves. Have a safe and healthy weekend. And hopefully you're back with us next week and having fun with us talking about some more pro wrestling. For Aaron Turner, I'm John Rocha. Thank you so much. And this has been Strong Style.